What happened to the US overnight? They had a pretty bad day.
Well, the U.S. market had a nasty day last night. I think much of this really was because it managed to sustain its advance for too long without correcting significantly. And in the last 3 months, the main indices were up quite strong. And after pulling back, and we saw some weaknesses into the tech sector in particular, it created a snowball effect into the other mainline indices. Actually, the drop started from the Nasdaq and from the Russell index a few days ago, although the Dow wasn't really responding to too much on the low side yet. But last night, in coordinate fashion, all four of those main inline indices fell down more than 3%, and breaking quite a number of supports on the way down. And if you can see the illustration I have in the U.S. market index here on the S&P 500, it was quite a bit of a tumble roll that had taken place. But looking at the very longer term picture here on the right side of the market, you can see it was quite elevated, and so what you're seeing here is what we call a technical correction. That means it may look temporary, but since it came up from a very high base, the first declines from that usually are very very sharp, brief, and very abrupt, right, without knowing what to do. Hopefully that maybe in 1 or 2 days we'll probably hit the magnitude and maybe allow for a little bit of a temporary rally, but it does not look like it's over. So I'm a little afraid that after even a rally and a pullback again, that we might see more ripple effects come back towards our side later on.
When you mention looks like it's not yet over, what are you looking at here?
Well, normally when corrections or even extended trends try to be able to bottom out, they want to do that with some degree of definition. So normally when we see bases, you want to see either a very excited end or a reversal pattern or a quieting of the decline, like a turning around situation to come out. And since we just came off from the high perch, you don't usually just get an abrupt end like this. It usually takes time to quiet down.
Okay. So sir, what's your view on the US dollar and the rates in the US?
Another instigator to this reaction we saw also in the last few days in the US really has been the sharp rise in bond yields in the US. Bond yields is what we use as a gauge for potential interest rates down the road. And we've seen that actually in the last few days go from roughly 3% and jump up all the way to about 3.25%. Might that not be too big here in the Philippines, but in the US rate jumps like that are quite significant. And it's also because of that it generated some bit of a scare that caused that move up. So if you see the picture of yields over here, you've seen a very frantic advance that we've seen. But in the short term, I think we're probably hitting a high zone for now. So we might be able to see a bit of a correction into that. So hopefully that should be able to give some room for the US, if it does correct, to be able to pull in a rally as well. Now with regards to the dollar, although we didn't see a rally into the dollar recently, I really think the dollar is probably going to be trading in a horizontal range. We've seen indication that the advance had slowed down because it broke through this area once before, and now it's going to get stuck into a horizontal range, and I think we're probably maybe 70 or 80% on the high side of it already. So hopefully that the dollar can start to temper within that range, and that should prove to be quite helpful for the Philippine peso. And if you look at that Philippine peso, I have another illustration here on these two sides. I did a little bit of a drawing over here to be able to show that the two high movements the peso have seems to be slowing down also. So hopefully the peso dollar can try to be able to angle sideways, maybe a little bit on the downside. And if we do see that the dollar index can also soften, it might also put a little bit more pressure into this. Unfortunately, as much as we can do it, it's only short term because the longer term picture of the peso is still in a very weakening trend. If you look at the second image I have over here, you can see the trend is still very, very strong into an upside. It's just that we're nearing the high band of it in the short term, and hopefully we can have a little bit of an abatement in the very strong pressure we have. But it looks like we've not changed the course yet. So I would anticipate that despite it slowing down, there's still some pressure for it to gradually weaken over time. So we just have to be prepared for that.